die WSB
Hamza Tuba got the Germans off to a great start in Series 4 of the World Series of Boxing with an excellent win over Christian Roda of Argentina. The diminutive Argentinian tried very hard but could not cope with the slick skills and evasive work of Tuba throughout the 5 3-minute rounds.
Congratulations, Hamza Tuba.
The most controversial win of the night was Irish lightweight David Joyce, who beat Brian Nunes of Argentina. Only 1 round was completed, but he 3/4 of the way through round 2, the bout was stopped because of a cut sustained by Joyce in the opening round. But he went to the scorecards, and Joyce was declared the winner, making it 2-0 for Germany with 3 bouts to go.
Is the fighter in the red corner.
German welterweight Vyacheslav Kerber. He did just about enough to beat Luis Alberto Veron of Argentina. He was a bit sluggish at times, but pulled it out when it really mattered, despite the fact that he won a close-fought contest.
The fighter in the red corner.
My fighter of the night was Igor Tetsiev, representing Team Germany, and his excellent 3rd round stoppage win over La Rosa Calvento of Argentina. A non-stop punching performance from Tetsiev ensured the victory, and for a first-timer in the WSB rules, he did exceptionally well. There was no hiding place for Calvento, and eventually he did succumb in round 3 as the referee waved his arms over the stricken Argentinian. And this was the moment when Calvento had had enough. Super heavyweight Eric Pfeiffer did exactly as expected when he beat Facundo Cesar Giglioni of Argentina with a 1st round knockout victory to make it 5-0 to the Team Germany to reverse the placings with Argentina in the team rankings. Giglioni hit the floor 3 times before the referee decided enough was enough. So at the end of 5 cracking contests, Team Germany 5, Argentina Condors 0.
Hello and a very warm welcome to highlights of the Week 5 Group B encounter in World Series Boxing, where the visitors were the defending champions, the Kazakhstan Astana Arlans, currently in 2nd place in Group B with a record of 3 wins and 1 loss from their 4 outings to date. They were being entertained by the home team Hussars Poland, currently winless and at the bottom of Group B with a record of 0 wins and 4 defeats. This was category C1, so the opening bout was in the 49 kilogram light flyweight division. The home team were being represented by the 10th ranked boxer David Yagodzinski in the black trunks trimmed with red. He was taking on Mardan Berikbayev of Kazakhstan, the 7th ranked boxer. And the taller man, operating out of the southpaw stance, used his advantage in height and reach to good effect to pilot the points in the opening 3 rounds. In rounds 4 and 5, Yagodzinski did enjoy repeated success with right hands over the top, but in the final analysis, it was the visitors who got off to a 1-0 lead, Berikbayev boxing his way to a unanimous point decision win. In the 56 kilogram bantamweight division, the home fighter Marek Pietrachuk was given a really painful opening round by Mirbalat Toitov representing the visitors. Just 19 years of age is Pietrachuk, and he was dropped to the canvas by a sickening left hand to the body. He took the mandatory count, recovered, but then was treated to a carbon copy replay. Another left hand to the body, another trip to the canvas. And from that point on, Toitov was in complete control and operated exactly as he wanted throughout the course of the 5 3-minute rounds. A dominant point decision victory for Mirbalat Toitov. Kazakhstan Astana Arlans leading 2-0. In the 64 kilogram light welterweight division, we were treated to an absolute classic. The home fighter, Damian Kivior, taking on the hard-punching, explosive Askat Ualikhanov. And what a contest this turned out to be. For the first 2 rounds, it was Ualikhanov who was on the front foot. But then Kivior sustained a cut, and having visited the ringside doctor, that brought about a change in tempo, a change in tactics, and Kivior got onto the front foot repeatedly and took the fight to Ualikhanov, who wasn't nearly as effective when he was forced into reverse gear. The 5th and final round was a toe-to-toe thrilling encounter, and it was a close decision. Which way would it go? Well, when the decision was announced after a really hard-punching 5th and final round full of spirit and determination and heart and guts, it was Kazakhstan who secured the match victory. 3 bouts completed, 3 wins in their favor. Ualikhanov conceded the 5th and final round for 2 of the 3 judges, but it was enough to eke out a unanimous points decision win. We then moved into the middleweight division, where the home team were represented by their captain, Thomas Jablonski, and he was taking on the middleweight debutant, Yerik Aljanov. Real adversity for the home skipper, suffering cuts over both eyes, but he displayed poise and calm, and despite those injuries, he let out a roar of delight because he got his first win of the season and the Hussars' first victory in a boxing match in season 4. So the Hussars were boxing for a single point, but their heavyweight task was a real difficult one because it featured their debutant, Lukas Zygmunt, taking on the number 2 ranked heavyweight, Vasily Levitt. And Levitt was dominant from opening bell, putting all manner of punches and hurtful shots together. A left hand to the body, causing Zygmunt to put his hands on his knees and take a count. Later on in that same round, number 4, he was hit by a cracker of a left hand, brought about the 2nd count of the contest. You see just what a hurtful, accurate shot that was. And unsurprisingly, at the conclusion of 5 completed rounds, it was Levitt's hand who was raised. And you see from the margin of those scores just how dominant Levitt was against the World Series boxing debutant. In the final analysis, Kazakhstan Astana Arlans 4-1 winners.
In Poland, it's good night.
Week 5 of season 4 of the World Series of Boxing pitched the United States knockout against Italian Thunder. In the flyweight division, Eros Correa was too strong for the game Juliano Gallo and settled for a point win over 5 well-contested rounds of boxing. Correa always went forward, and sadly Gallo had no answer to him.
Eros Correa.
My boxer of the night was Robson Conceição, from Brazil, but boxing on behalf of the Italian Thunder, and he was taking on Daquan Mays from the USA. A lively boxer, but at 20 years of age, was in over his head, making his WSB debut. And Kosei Sao ran out a very, very impressive winner for a young man. Kosei Sao came into this contest ranked number 3 with the World Series of Boxing. This will do him no harm whatsoever. Sign of frustration there for Daquan Mays. Yes, a very lively young fella.
Robson Sao.
In the welterweight division, Suleiman Diop Sissoko was raw but talented and knew just a bit too much for the very experienced Italian Vincenzo Mangiapane. Ranked number 6 with the WSB, and at 24 years of age had achieved an awful lot in his career. An Olympic bronze medalist to boot. But Sissoko kept on, kept pushing forward, kept throwing punches to end up with a split decision win over a very disappointed Italian. This made the score 2-1 to the United States, as the Frenchman, of course, was boxing on behalf of the United States Knockouts here this evening.
Miami, un recuerdo el próximo viernes. Enero 17, USA contra Ucrania, aquí Cabana.
Abdel Hafid Ben-Shavla knew far too much for the very raw Miguel de Souza of Brazil, but representing the United States of America. Ben-Shavla had won 15 and lost 4 of his 19 World Series of Boxing contests over a period stretching back to 2010. Here he is in his 3rd season as a WSB boxer, and well, you know, if you can put up with his antics, you'll love him. If you can't, you won't. De Souza tried hard throughout and had a couple of decent spells, but ultimately just couldn't cope with Ben-Shavla's experience and ability. There were times in the contest when Ben-Shavla looked like he was over-egging the pudding, but he stuck to the game plan.
Ben-Shavla.
Well, that's all of our boxing coming to you from Miami this evening. We do hope you've enjoyed the show. My name's Steve Holter. Take care. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again very soon. Good night.
The Cuba Sports Complex, Baku, Azerbaijan, the venue as the World Series of Boxing Season 4 continues with this 5th leg. Tonight, historic and still unbeaten newcomers Cuba breeze in to face off the Baku Fires from Azerbaijan. But with only 2 bout losses in the whole tournament thus far, well, the smart money must rest on these guys, the Domodores. The Baku bad boys entering good shape after the seasonal break, entering a star-studded lineup that may halt the hitherto rampage of the new kids on the block. An important result for both teams required tonight, with Cuba at number 2 and the Zeris at number 4. First out at light flight, Kamzat Namatov takes on Yozbani Viatia, with the Cuban giving an absolute masterclass which outdazzles the crowd and his opponent to put the first win of the evening in favour of the Domodores. At bantamweight, Magomed Gurbanov takes on Robesi Ramirez. Again, the divide proving just a little too much for the Azeris. With Ramirez taking control early and causing Magomed Gurbanov to take a standing count. But that control proves absolute. And with a little bit of showboating and a lot of confidence, Ramirez puts win 2 on the board for Cuba. At light welterweight, Gaibatullah Gadjalayev takes on Yasnier Toledo. Well, the Baku Fires needed a reversal of fortune to stay in contention, and Gadjalayev looked to be the man who could do the job. Well, he pressurized Toledo and closed his game. Then there was that little slipsy knockdown. But closing his game was the secret. Some guts and determination. One through, and the Baku boys are back in the game. At middleweight, Kaibula Musalov took on Ramon Luis, and this was crucial if the Azeris were going to stay in contention in the competition. Well, Musalov and Luis turned this crucial matchup into a real slugfest. Musalov drawing Luis into a toe-to-toe samba that ended with Luis out-tangoed after the 5 rounds. At heavyweight, Danis Latipov met Erslandi Savon, and with it all to play for going into the heavies and the final bout, 2 apiece meant the Baku boys had a chance to halt the Cuban roller coaster of straight wins. However, Latipov started as sweet as sugar, taking the first round, but was then lured into a slow molasses of counter work from Savon, who opened up space and picked Latipov off. Then the dream was gone, with Savon and Cuba taking the win.
Salamat kalın, özünüzden muayet olun. Helal iş.
Welcome to the highlights of Week 5 World Series of Boxing. The Russian boxing team against the Mexico Guerreros. 2 giants of WSB clashing in Moscow. Well, there were a few last-minute changes, including the first 2 fighters. Galanov was to take on Jose Rias. 2 tricky, fast, dynamic boxers. Galanov, a European Championship silver medalist, taking on Rias, the up-and-coming 19-year-old. Well, the first couple of rounds, the Mexican put up a pretty good fight, chucking back what he got. But then over the next few rounds, it was all the Russian. 10-9 across the board in round 5, 49-46. Galanov taking the first bout in the light flyweights. Then it was the bantamweight, sub-56. Vladimir Nikitin took on Alameda, 3 times national champion of Mexico. Nikitin, a power puncher, 3 times Russian champion, European bronze medalist in Minsk this year, the Russian. Really dominated from the beginning, power punching throughout. 10-8 across the board in the second round. 50-44 for 2 of the judges, 50-45, 2-0 on the night. Then it was the turn of Armen Zakaran, number 10 in the world, European gold medalist. He was up against Abdel Lajali of Mexico. Comes from France originally, from Lille, the Roubaix club. Very rangy, tall boxer in the Mexican flag shorts. But it was the power-punching Zakaran who got inside and really did the damage early on. Lajali struggled just to keep with him, and in the end, an almost flawless scorecard for Zakarian of Russia. The European champion looking on fine form. Well, that was the light welters. Then in the middleweights, I'm afraid it was a walkover. Rodriguez unable to come out, so he went straight on to the heavyweights. Christian Demage of Albania, fighting for the Mexicans, came out, a much shorter man, taking on one of the world's finest, and Evgeny Tishchenko, world number 5, world championship silver medalist in the white shorts, the giant Russian. A few powerful body shots, and Demage was really struggling. That ramrod jab as well caused trouble. Blood coming from the nose of Demage. He was always up against it and clearly injured into the third round, having lost the first 2. Off to the corner, unhappy with something.
7, 8.
The Irish referee calling in the doctor, and that was it. TKO in round number 3.
Victory from the red corner, Evgeny Tishchenko.
Tishchenko, the giant, making it 5-0 on the night for the Russians. The Guerreros struggling sadly in week 5.